Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Scale Riders podcast, episode number 279, with your host, 65 Locs. We're going old school, grassroots, on the commute right now. I know it's been a minute since the last time we did an official podcast. That was in December of 2025. We are now in May, getting close to May 10th, which is Mother's Day. For everybody out there in the world, or in the US especially, celebrating Mother's Day. You know, I'm sure a lot of the other holidays kind of line up around this time. But yeah, so I'm on the commute, I'm driving, and you guys already know I'm busy. Family business, flower shop and all, and we got Mother's Day coming up. So, you know, I found my mic. I couldn't find my mic for some reason, but we got it. And I'm like, all right, we got time. I'll be on the road. So I want to check in with you guys, see how you guys are doing, and also let you guys know how I'm doing as well. A lot has happened from these last 5 months. And, you know, I've been active when, you know, I have not been podcasting, but I have been building a lot more. I've been recording a lot more. And a lot of that has been going on YouTube. And some of it on Facebook. But for the most part, YouTube has been becoming more of the house of that's housing everything. That's where even this podcast is going to be at. You know, it will be on, you know, here on Apple, Spotify, and all the other platforms. But in the future, there's going to be some changes where, you know, there's going to be chances that most likely you will not find it here on all the podcast platforms. Most likely everything's going to shift just to YouTube. That's the direction of where, you know, I feel like it's going to go towards, and that's where I'm deciding where it's going to go towards. You know, I use the platform so much. I've been working really hard to build up new subscribers and just be consistent with dropping new videos with my builds, and it's been working out for like the last 2-3 months. I just found myself, like, I got myself into a consistent flow of being able to build, record, and upload. And even during busy times, busy holidays and everything, I'm still able to do that. And I feel a lot comfortable doing it. Since last year when I started recording myself and filming and editing and doing all this and that, you know, I was trying to find my rhythm. I was trying to find, like, what way can I adapt to this? What way can I make this work? I watch a lot of YouTube channels, and everybody has their own style and their own way of building, their own way of showcasing their builds. And I was like, how am I going to do mine? You know, how am I going to make mine stand out, but also be comfortable with what I'm doing to keep it going? So in the beginning, I would record little videos here and there, and then I would do a lot of lives. And I kept doing lives and lives and lives. And over time, the live audience started to grow. And at the same time, I was doing live podcasts. And that started to grow as well. Whenever I had a guest, depending who the guest was, sometimes a guest could, you know, pull in a lot of people. And what I started to notice is that I started to get burned out from the lives, because I would be on there for like 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours. You lose track of time when you're on there. You're just having fun. You lose track of time. I was doing magazine flip throughs and all this stuff, and it's fun. And during that time, I'm just trying to find my rhythm. I'm trying to see, like, okay, what... It's almost like throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall and to see what sticks. You know, and sometimes that works, but sometimes it doesn't. And I was noticing, for me, it wasn't working out. I was just like, I'm getting too burned out. Like, how am I going to keep this going consistent, you know? It's just not working. You're building live on the spot, and if you mess up, you mess up, and then you got to fix it. You know, and on top of that, you got to entertain. You got to speak. You know, I don't got music playing in the background, so I have to entertain, you know, my viewer. And if I land in a section where I'm doing body work or just something that some people might find very boring, then most likely that live stream isn't going to get viewed. You know, someone might watch a few minutes and be like, oh, this is kind of boring. Let me fast forward. Oh, the whole episode, 2 hours of this? No, thank you. You know? So it's little things like that. So that kind of took a back seat over time. The lives, the podcast as well, it took a back seat. Magazine flip throughs took a back seat. And, you know, then I started recording a lot of history pieces. I was doing my research with history. I was doing these small short clips. It reached a lot of people, and which is great. You know, we all want the high reach because we want to promote the hobby, and we want to also give an opportunity to those that came before us to give them their flowers. You know, to give them props and to acknowledge them and make them relevant again, you know, with our generation that never got the opportunity to meet them. So I was doing that. That was fun. I still miss it. I haven't done one in a while. I still like doing those, but I like doing those when I'm in the mood to do them, you know, when I have the time to flip through a vintage magazine, read articles, learn something new. I get pumped, I get excited, and I'm like, man, I gotta share this. I gotta let people know what's happening right here, or what happened back then, you know. Each one of those magazines is a time capsule, so I have to be just, you know, looking at it, reading it, and just, you know, I'm always blown away by what was done way back then, you know. And you know, being consistent, it's obviously what's going to help any brand grow. People start to get into it, and they like watching what they like watching and the content, and it keeps going. But when you're doing that every day, you know, you got to look at it as like, man, this is a marathon. You know, this is like long distance running. So do I pace myself? Do I just sprint so I make it to the end? What's going to go on? So it's mostly about pacing yourself, you know, marathon mode. It's just, you know, finding that rhythm of breathing, how fast to push it, your speed, everything, right? And that's where I was at. I was getting burned out. The motivation would kind of lack in one part, and then I would transfer it to another part and a different part to really see like, man, how's this going to work out? Because I'm doing this stuff, but I'm also like on multiple platforms, you know, what's going on? So I just decided, you know what? Let me focus just on YouTube right now. Let me focus on that. Let me get a feel for it, because Instagram, I've been on there for so long, and I already feel comfortable in it. I already, you know, have a pretty good following on there, and I also follow a good amount of people. And then, you know, you got your messages with your friends and stuff. So the flow of that is like super chill. And YouTube's like different, you know. The way you interact, and it's very different. It's all like through comments for the most part, you know, and just sharing people's videos. So And it's hard. It's hard to get subscribers. You know, people will watch your video, but they most likely won't even subscribe. You know, so when you focus too much on, I'm trying to figure this out, you'll probably never figure it out because they keep switching it. And the best thing to do is just focus on the craft, focus on what you're doing, and just put it out and see what happens. You know, and that's kind of the mentality I've been going towards. It's been working for me. You know, so far, 2026, I've managed to finish 3 builds in the month of May, leading up to May. I had never been able to do that in any other year. You know, I was always busy and like doing other projects, other things, and I just never was able to do it. I was never able to do that, let alone one build. Like, yeah, sometimes I can knock out a build in 6 months for a show, but that was like back in like 2018, 19, you know. That's like way before my daughter was born. But now, I was like, no way, it's gonna take me a year to finish the car, probably longer, because there was too many plates spinning. I was trying to do so much, and I couldn't find my rhythm. I was all over the place. I was on this platform, that platform, building this. Oh, let me stop that. Let me build this. And just being more consistent doing that, you know, than anything. And now where I'm at, you know, I'm more situated, stuff's more laid out, and you know, I've gotten rid of a lot of my kits, a lot of things I've gotten rid of, just to really focus on like, what am I gonna really do? What am I gonna build next? What's in front of me? You know, what's gonna get me excited? How am I gonna challenge myself? You know, and I feel like I've been going more in that direction. I've been challenging myself more and more and more as I'm going on with my builds. I'm wanting to step out of my comfort zone, to try new builds, try new things, learn new things, in the process to prep me up for what's next. And you know, not too long ago, I took on an Atlantis kit, which was, I didn't even know this, it was a very problematic kit for a lot of people due to it being an old mold being printed, or an old model being printed from an old mold, right? The original molds from Monogram, and you know, body being a bit warped and kind of off and everything. And I didn't know. I thought, oh, this is gonna be cool, box stock, really quick. I'll do it. I'll promote it on Instagram, YouTube, and you know, because I'm selling this item as well, and I'll be able to promote all that. But then, you know, everyone's kind of warning me, like, hey, you know, I hope everything goes good, but you know, here's a heads up. And me not really being like, what, for real? And then finally, when I stepped into it, I was like, oh man, like, yeah, I see what they were talking about. I recorded this whole process of, you know, working on the build, doing updates and everything. And I'm really happy that I did go for the build, because it did challenge myself, but I just went right through it. And I ended up building the car in a short amount of time, which even I was like, whoa, like that. This is a first as well, finishing this fast, especially a challenging build. Yeah, so during the process of the build, you know, every day just working on it, recording updates, process, errors, corrections, all these things. And I don't know, I just felt very comfortable. In my mind, I already knew how the build looked, the way I was going to paint it, colors, everything was already there in my mind. And when I went ahead and did it, it just came together. And I was like, man, that was different. Building this model was very different. I felt like everything I saw in the past, all the trial and errors and everything from learning, all the skills, everything just came together. And I started to piece this all together. I then later was also working on a Volkswagen, which I said it was a curbside. And on this one, there was a lot of parts I was not going to use. I was going to focus more on the stance, the appearance of the car, and all just more interior details, things like that. So that was another one that came together pretty fast. Added all the details, and even Armando had given me these front side view mirrors that I had never seen before. And I did research, and I did see bugs that had them, and I was like, oh wow, like, okay, like, how am I going to do this? So then I noticed that when I was overthinking it, I knew overthinking was going to prevent me from doing it, because I was just going to figure out, oh, how am I going to do it like this or like that? Because they're so tiny. They're so tiny, these side view mirrors, and you don't want to, you could damage them, you could break them easy. So then I thought in my head, you know what, why am I overthinking this? I'm just going to glue them. Why am I even tripping? So I grabbed a little bit of CA glue, applied it on there, and as soon as I stuck that thing, holding it with my left hand on there, with my right hand, I already had my accelerator dropper, and all I had to do was just tilt it, and one drop, boom, and dried, done. And I did the same with the other side, now using my right hand, on each end, and it came out good. And I even double checked, is it even? Because that's it, you can't do nothing. It was fine. And I was like, there you go. I don't have to overthink it. Just go for it, So then, as time went on, I ended up purchasing this vintage car, which was a 1964 Corvette Stingray by MPC. I bought that one along with another one in this eBay lot. And this was like a glue bomb. Like everything was just glued together, was not painted. They did do an interior, but they just glued it together with crazy glue. And you could tell it was fogged up here and there, and it just glue splotches. And I don't know if a kid built it or what, or an adult, a young adult, but it looked cool. Like, I liked it. And I was never really a big Corvette fan at all, because now that I think about it, what really sucks about, like, with the name, with everything, whenever I think of Corvette, what comes to mind is midlife crisis. Because ever since I was in high school, people would always like bring up jokes or that would be the thing that they make fun of. Like, if somebody would be middle-aged or whatever, they'll be like, oh, I bet he's gonna go buy a Corvette because he's freaking out because he's getting old or whatever, right? Midlife crisis. I don't know. And that was the thing. They made it seem like the only people who drive Corvettes are these guys that are middle-aged freaking out that they're not young anymore or whatever, right? So that right there always made me think like, oh, well, I guess, those are cheesy or something. I don't know. That was kind of the mentality, a thought of that. But in reality, I mean, there's a lot of history with the Corvettes. And this one here, it opened up my mind, the doors, everything, that I was like, man, Corvettes are badass. Like, they're really, like, they are. That's the only word I can say right now. They're badass, And I started looking up this kit. At first, I thought it was an AMT because I got really close to buying an AMT off of someone on eBay. I didn't. And when I acquired this one, I thought, oh, cool, it's the same one. But then later somebody mentioned, you know what, man, like, I have that kit or that model right there. He's all, that's an MPC. So I was like, oh, damn, you know what? I researched it and he was right, I wanted to see how the box artwork looked like and all that because I didn't have any of that. So then the more I looked at the car, the more I was amazed, like how aerodynamic it was, how it wasn't a split window in the back, it was an open window and all this stuff. I started really getting into it, going down a rabbit hole. And then eventually it led me to be like, you know what? I think I could take this car apart and repaint it and rebuild it. I had never done anything like that. So I got some CA uncure. I started, putting it in certain areas, and I managed to take it apart, everything. And, I just ended up rebuilding it. I brought it back to life, brand new, like basically it looks like a brand new model, I was really happy about that model because of the things I learned on it, the mistakes, the errors, the mess ups, all these things that happened. I ended up, finding a way to correct them and get back, on the path of completion. Got it done. And now I'm working on this Pie Wagon, which is also starting to come together. First time doing a show rod. Very excited for that. And now I'm like, okay, cool. Well, show rod's going down. What else is going on? What else am I going to work on? So I've been doing my videos. I brought up my Lamborghini, that Aoshima Liberty Walk that I'm going to be working on. That's going to be another project I'm adding on there. And later I'll add one more, Right now I'm going to balance between both. And then later I'll add one more. But the Pie Wagon is starting to come up. It's already been painted and everything. Last night I was doing mock-ups of it. Doing the rear wheels, the axle, all that good stuff. There's a lot of chrome that's going to be involved with that build. So I'll be done with that one pretty soon. There's not a lot of parts. It's a fun kit to build. And also the reason why I'm building it is because I acquired those kits to sell them on my online store. And I said, you know what? I at least got to build one as a demo and promote it, It's like the one that's on the shelf, let's say, right? And it's a really nice kit. It's a first Tom Daniel kit I'm ever building. A very nice and cool kit, man. I'm like just so happy to be building that, And I already, I'm doing box stock, and there's a couple little things I need to paint and do, and that's it. Once I do that, it's just gluing it all together and putting it all together, and we should be fine. Everything should be good, and I'm really excited for that. So all those things have been keeping me busy, and I've said this before. When I focus on one particular area or one thing, the other things that I'm into are going to suffer. There's always something that's going to suffer because for a while, until I turn my attention back to it, and then the other thing suffers. So it's like having a shelf with 5 items, and you pull down one item from the shelf. The other 4, you're going to sit there and collect dust. And then later, you're done with this one, let's put it back. Now let's get the next one. And then let's dust it off and let's get it back going. That's kind of where I'm at with a lot of stuff when I'm into different projects and working. So right now, building models, I'm going back to my grassroots. Why do I build? Why do I even have interest in this hobby? And I'm back. I've been back doing this again. And now with more confidence, with new tools, new skills, and also, with the support of a lot of friends that also have a lot of skills, knowledge, experience, material. And, if I don't have a kit and I want to build a particular kit, I'm confident that I can ask for it. Like, hey, would you sell it to me? Would you trade me it? Or, I really want to build this kit. And, the community comes together, man, and they got you, And it's the same. Like, I got to pay that forward one day. The minute someone's like, hey, I'm looking for this. Do you have it? And if I have it in the stash, then, you know, and I have 2 or 3 or whatever, and I have the one and I have no plans on building it, then hey, it's here you go. You know, because yeah, when you're in the moment and you wanna build something or do something, you know, you gotta go for it. You know, you gotta just do it up and find a way to get it. And just, you know, when I'm building these things, I'm focused on what's in front of me. I'm focused on like, what's tonight's plan? All right, I'm gonna spend maybe an hour, 2 hours max, and I have to polish this model, or I have to glue the chassis, or I have to do this. One thing at a time, you know. You can't be just being like, oh, I'm gonna finish the whole build in one night or 2 nights. You know, I enjoy doing mock-ups. I enjoy like the whole process of taking my time and just admiring it, because I already know that once you seal everything up and everything's encapsulated, that's it, it's done. And that model, you're going to show it off, but then eventually it's going to end up in a case, and that's it. You're never going to go back to it. And if you already have 5-10 models under your belt and they're all in cases, like, when's the last time you went in there and you opened that up and tried to take it apart just because you wanted to look at the interior tub? You know, like, you're not going to do that. Like, it's done. So I always try to have fun and like look at my stuff before I seal it up, because I'm like, oh man, I remember when this happened, or the struggle on that. Let me go ahead and hide that mistake, you know? And so there's all those like little different things that you end up pretty much doing right there with all that. But like I said, if you guys want to check out the YouTube channel, if you guys have been wondering, man, he hasn't done a podcast in so long, where's he been, what's going on, check out the YouTube channel. There's so many videos on there showing you what I did. I even did playlists and all that kind of good stuff too, to make it easier. And most of them, they're all 10-minute videos. It's mostly 10-minute videos. Yeah, there's some that are like 12, 15, but for the most part, they're 10 minutes. And I feel like they're very informative. There's some cool info in there. And you get to see proof that I was working on those cars, you know, for that short amount of time. And yeah, like, most likely what's going to happen in the future is, you know, a lot of these episodes are going to be on these platforms, but all my new stuff is going to just be on the YouTube channel. So if someone wants to listen to a podcast, that's going to be the only place they're really only going to be able to listen to, you know. And there's a lot of platforms, you know, and you always got to switch. You can't just stay in one forever, right? At some point you got to make that move, man. You got to switch it up. You got to have a plan B, plan C, plan D, and going forward, you know. You always got to, with all that kind of stuff. So that's where that's going to be headed, right there with that. And also, you know, a lot happened within the last couple weeks. We had SoCal Open. We also had Left Coast Scale Classic as well. And I trip out, man. It's these shows that we've been talking about, prepping for them. And, you know, it took, you know, from last year, and look how fast it took to get there. And where we're at now, it's already done, you know. Time is flying by. Everything is changing. The world is changing. Everything at home is changing. The shows are changing. Everything is changing, you know. And you just have to adapt to the changes, you know. We can't get stuck on things and feel depressed or sad about it. We just have to adapt and be realistic and realize, like, okay, cool, it's this ain't working out, or it's the end of an era. Oh, cool, there's a new opportunity, or this is what we're doing now, you know. You got to be open for a lot of things, you know. I notice even like my daughter, at a young age, she's experienced a lot of change, and I feel like she's learned how to deal with that, how to cope with it. And I mean, she's small, but when I saw that, I was like, I was being very observant of how it was happening. Her from like, being at home with us, and then next, we have her in daycare, and now she's like, wait, like I'm with other people now, I'm not with you guys. And then later, like her not wanting to be into it, then she got into it, she adapted, and then later it's like, oh, now you're gonna go to school. And then even that changed. Wait a minute, like I'm not gonna see these friends anymore, now I'm gonna have to go somewhere else. And then making new friends, the change, and then changing grades from one grade to the next, new kids, and then also classmates like leaving because a lot of times people move, or people take their kids out of private and they want to put them in public, all these different changes, right? And for her at a young age, she's already experiencing all that, and she already knows how to adapt to it and how to handle it. When they're small, they cry about it. They're like, they feel bad. But as they get older, they don't cry anymore. It's just like they understand, and when it happens, they're like, it's like, oh, okay, I'm aware. Like, I'm not gonna see my friend anymore, and they say their byes and everything, but they're looking forward to what's next, and they know they're gonna get through it and survive, and then they'll, meet a new friend, and it just happens like that. Like, think of all the friends you had that you grew up with in your neighborhood, that you went to in elementary, junior high, high school, college, so forth, and you move, and we always meet different friends in our periods of our lifetimes. Every decade there's a new friend, but there's also some people that we somehow it works out and they become our best friends for, decades, and until the 50 years, whatever, they're your homies. That happens a lot too. And with change, if you let it depress you, then it's got you and you lost. But if you embrace change and you have a good attitude about it, like everything's gonna be all right, everything's gonna be cool, you're gonna get by and everything's gonna be good later. And later, what you're going through, you're gonna forget about it. It's just gonna be a memory, and then that memory it's gonna be erased. Because you're just gonna focus on what's in front of you and more of the positive side of things. Everything else, whatever, man, it's done. You can't change it. You have a girlfriend, it doesn't work out, and that's it. You got to move on. And you can't feel like, oh, I'm the only one. I'm the only one that was in love. I'm the only, this was a unique relationship, and like you don't know what my love is, dude. Everybody goes through the same thing. Everybody experiences breakups. Everybody experiences losses, whatever, So don't let that get to you. Just get over it. You just gotta, man. And when you do get over it, you're like, dang, I should have got over it a long time ago. Why was I holding on? And it sounds pretty rough or tough, but hey, it is what it is, man. That's why you got that RWB guy out there cutting up Porsches, Rough World. That's his brand, and that's it's Trip. Like, look him up. Look up what that represents. Look up his interviews of what does RWB stand for and all that. And it's a lot of little things, man. We got to pay attention to a lot of other things, and don't let these things get to you. And you just got to keep moving forward with everything. But going back to the shows, so Left Coast Scale Classic just had their first show. Such a great show, and props to the guys for doing it. Definitely anybody who goes into doing a show, a lot of the times there's high risk because, you got to front a lot of money to book the venue and to book a lot of stuff, security, a bunch of things, man. And at the same time, you're hoping that you get the support from your friends, family, vendors, and just everybody overall that you're depending on, And that day, it showed that everybody did come together to support them, to support the show, and be about it, And that was great. It was awesome. We had people that came from out of town. Even shout outs to Maddie. Maddie came all the way from Dubai. He's been in the US visiting us, traveling, doing all these things, man. Maddie's making it happen, man. Like, it's a grind. It's a lot of work, man. He's traveling. He's designing stuff. He's building models. He's offering a lot of things to the community. And, a lot of very unique things that he's doing. And on top of that, he's supporting his family. He's there for them. And he's doing everything he can in his power, right? So to be able to see him, meet him in person was great, man. It was a pleasure of meeting him, man. Very positive guy. A lot of good, positive energy. That too, man. You feel it when you meet someone, When you meet someone and they have that positive energy, you feel it, man. You go home more pumped. And I feel like a lot of people need that positive energy, man, because trust me, when you're in a tough spot, think about all those people and they'll lift you up, because you'll be like, man, what would he do if he was in my situation? What would he do if turn of events or how to make a quick decision on something that's like life-changing or whatever, right? You got to think of all the different people that you look up to that have positive vibes, And trust me, all those people are going through something too, but they know how to hold it together. They know, how to pull through it. And man, we got to keep spreading that positive energy with everybody, We also had Lee Crow Customs that came all the way from the UK, or how they say, across the pond, And just the opportunity to see Lee's builds in person, get to hang out with him, and also a very positive and high energy dude. Like, just a lot of positive energy, man. Like, these people leave an impression on you, that you don't forget them. And you see their builds and everything, and you go, wow, man. Like, you could just tell, them living so far away, being connected with us online, but so far away in person, and they're still doing it. You got to consider all those things right there. We also had the Hawaii Model Car Mafia guys that came all the way from Hawaii. Them too. Really cool guys, very nice, very humble, positive vibes as well, and just models, man, that are just amazing, beautiful model builds, and it's just cool, man. It's really nice, seeing people come from out of town, and just everybody just chilling. Even Wes came out as well, man. He does every year, man. He makes it an effort to come out. Wes Salazar, also positive dude, high energy, you know what I mean? Like, all these guys I'm naming, man, like, they come with positive vibes, man, and they're so happy to see us. We're so happy to see them, and man, I mean, it's expensive right now to be traveling, buying plane tickets, and doing all this stuff, And these guys are doing it. Dennis Matthews, another guy, all the way from Florida, came out. It's always fun hanging out with them. Positive dude and everything. Every time, man. Every time. Dennis is Dennis, man. He's always been the homie. and it's awesome. And also always bringing out some bangers of builds too, some really cool stuff. And the show was just great, man. I went live, recorded content, got to see all the vendors, got to meet new vendors, and it was just everything came together. Everything from Hot Wheels community, RC community, and also model car community, all under one roof. It all came together, and it was a really good show. I'm looking forward to year number 2, the second annual event. Date is still tentative. Once we find this out, I'll let you guys know. But congratulations to them and everybody else in their crew that made this happen. And we're all very grateful that you guys made this happen and gave us another day added to the calendar of a model show out here in Southern California. So the following week after that, or weekend, was the SoCal Open. That went down. All right, hang on real quick, guys, before I continue. I have a coffee here. I'm going to take a little sip, a little break real quick. Let's see. Oh, there we go. It's hot, but I took off the cap, and I'm just letting it kind of cool down. All right, cool. Yeah, I just need a little bit of coffee right there. SoCal Open happened. Some of the guys stayed the whole week to attend SoCal Open as well. And we also had friends that came down from up north for SoCal Open, and just from a whole lot of other areas, even more from down south. Shout outs to all the homies that are down there close to the San Diego area as well. They came up, and we all got to just hang out, man, together. And it was really nice, man. It was really nice to see familiar faces. This is a show that's been going on for a long time, hosted by Art Lasky. Shout outs to him as well for holding it together, putting this thing together. It's a lot of work being there the night before, setting up all the tables, setting up all the awards, setting up everything. That way when he comes in the next day, everything is good. All the vendors are taken care of, coordinating with the venue, everything. It's a lot of work. And then, Armando did the SoCal Bugs presentation. That was amazing. Vision 124 was in town. Shout outs to him for coming out. I mean, love that guy. Such a humble dude. And just to have the opportunity of him bringing out new builds, and also bringing out builds from some of his friends from the club mates, and also NYS models, seeing one of his models in person out here. That was awesome. So it was just everybody. There was about like 75 plus, bugs on display. I busted out my bug. I also entered the contest and brought out my 2 cars. So it was nice, man. Like, just being motivated to bring out all this stuff. Had a blast, just bringing out all my stuff right there. Well, those 2 models that I was really, really happy and proud of that I got done. Going live, interacting with people, talking to people, meeting finally some people that I interact with on Instagram, meeting them for the first time there. And also getting support from everybody who was there that came over to the table, and try to take as many pictures as I could throughout the show. And it was just fun, man. It was a really cool show. Unfortunately, we learned that was the last show, the last SoCal Open there at that venue. There was an article that Art posted on his website where it details about that being the last show, that they had just found out it's the end of an era is the title of the article. And it's pretty much a wrap. Like, as far as SoCal Opening happening again, that is tentative. If Art finds a venue, he will do another one for sure. But as of right now, there's no, it's too soon right now. We won't know this until later, but right now it's too soon. And something like that's not going to happen right at this moment, right? But the location where it was held for so many years, it just will not ever happen there ever again. You know, it has nothing to do with them not wanting them or nothing. It's just from the article, it states that the venue, the San Antonio Rancho Boys Home, received a grant. I'm pretty sure from the state, and if not from the state, you know, from I don't know where, but they received a grant and they have more security and all this stuff. And things change, you know, things change when they're getting a grant and all this stuff, that, you know, they have other plans, and that was it, you know, no more of that anymore. And you know, that was the last event for that venue. But going back to change, you know, we could either be very depressed about that, or we could just look at that and remember the good times and move forward and hope that there's going to be another show in the future. And if there is, let's support it. If there isn't, then let's keep those good memories going. Let's keep those good memories alive, you know? But let's try not to be depressed about it. Like, oh man, you know, because yeah, if we want to turn that on, then we could, you know. I could come up with like a really sad story for it. Nah, but I'm not gonna do that, you know. We got to keep it positive, man. We got to keep it positive, you know. We got to keep that energy up. So this way we all get through our day, man, and we keep building, and you know, we keep problem solving with this hobby. You know, we got to do that right there. But yeah, everything's good, man. Everything, you know, we got to hang in there. You know, don't feel like you're by yourself. You're alone. You know, if you're struggling, something's going on in your life, you know, whether it's relationships, whether it's your job, financial, anything. We're all going through something. You know, everybody's been going through something, but now I feel like now it's even more than ever, right? We see it, we feel it. It's out there, and we just gotta support each other and like be there, you know. And when I mean support, I mean get your core group of friends, man. Like, you know, if you have a friend, at least one or whatever, man, like, you know, just keep in touch with your homies and check in on them and just keep things positive, you know. Be open to it. Like if you're bummed out and you're all sad and whatever, and if your friend is hitting you up and he's trying to cheer you up, be open to it, man. Listen to him, you know. Listen to him and give it a try. Like, don't just be like closed-minded or have a big wall, you know. You can't. I mean, and if you want to have that, then you kind of know the result of that, what happens with that. Some people just move on. You know, they don't got time for that. I don't think anybody has time for that anymore. I know I don't got time for that. I'm so busy doing so much stuff that if I'm gonna be around positive, high energy people, I'm there. Hell yeah. But if I'm gonna come across someone who's a downer, a vampire, draining me, hell no, bro. It's not even gonna happen. Like, the moment I catch wind of it, I'm gone, bro. All you see is dust. Like, and I feel like a lot of people are like that nowadays. No one has time. We just don't got time for that, man. Because I'm 43. Like, I've already experienced that for so long, and I don't got time for that, you know? You know, it's like, and if you feel like a person, you got to get a pet, you know? Get a dog, get a cat. Those animals, man, they do it in their way, man, without even speaking. They bring those positive vibes that they'll bring a smile to your face, man, like straight up. But yeah, everything's changing. Things are going down. We got to keep it moving forward, you know. And all that stuff's gonna help us, especially when we get down to working on our projects. You want to work on your project when you're feeling good, when you're happy. You know, I don't know anybody building a model when they're pissed off or depressed and be like, you know, nah. Because then I don't know. I can't even picture myself doing that. I'd probably break the model, but like, I don't know. It's just, I think you guys know what I'm saying. I don't think I gotta keep going with that and on that note right there. But the end message is you're not alone. On that note, I'm gonna let you guys go because I already made it to the spot where I gotta be and I gotta get started. We'll talk soon, guys. We'll check in. But check out the YouTube channel because that's where I'm most active. And let me know in the comments on any of the videos, if you heard of this podcast episode right here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you guys take care of yourselves and keep building. Stay positive. All right, guys. Peace out. 65 Locs. Later.